One of the big benefits has been a reduction in mental clutter. So instead of carrying thoughts around all day long, I write them all down, all in the same place. It's a really quick and easy way for me to capture my ideas and thoughts before they slip away. Bullet journaling is a very simple and flexible tool to declutter your mind so you can concentrate on what's important in your life. Welcome to Architecture Business Club, the show that helps you build a better business in architecture so you can enjoy more freedom, flexibility and fulfillment. If you're joining us for the first time, don't forget to hit the follow or subscribe button so you never miss another episode. Hey there, welcome to the show. I'm John Clayton, the host of Architecture Business Club, podcast strategist for AEC firms, and self-confessed 80s sci-fi movie nerd. If you haven't seen the documentary called In Search of Tomorrow, go and check it out. I've just been binging it and it's absolutely awesome. It is about 5 hours long though, so you might need to spread it over a few nights. In this episode, we are going to be exploring Bujo. No, that's not Boris Johnson. That was Bojo, if that's what you're thinking of. No, we're going to be exploring bullet journaling. So we're going to be taking a look at what this is, why I decided to start using it, and how it might help you to declutter your busy brain. So just to add to that, just to give you a little bit of reassurance before you say, John, this isn't for me, sounds like too much hard work, or I'm not artistic. You don't need to be artistic to bullet journal. You can be very artistic if you wish. It can be an artistic outlet. And I dare say that you may be somebody that's very artistic if you're listening to this podcast, because this is for leaders of architecture firms. So it may be that you are, but you don't need to be. And you don't need to spend hours and hours making your bullet journal look pretty. Although many people do decide to do that, but that's not the way that I do bullet journaling. So what is bullet journaling? Your idea of bullet journaling, you might have seen all of these sort of fancy, beautiful looking journals where people have spent like hours and hours designing these beautiful layouts, and it's all very artistic and looks absolutely wonderful and amazing. And there's lots of like YouTube channels and Instagram accounts of the like that are focused on that side of it. But in principle, bullet journaling came about. This was invented by a guy called Ryder Carroll, who's a digital product designer. The definition of it, he defined it as a mindfulness practice disguised as a productivity system. At its core, it's a way for you to quickly capture tasks, events, and notes all in one place. And unlike some of the digital apps that you might have used, bullet journaling is completely flexible. It's really fast and it's analog. You're not having to use digital tools. Now, we all spend so much of our time using digital tools. So this is an analog method for capturing all those bits and pieces easily, all in one place. So just to swing back to some of those common myths and misconceptions about bullet journaling, I think the first big one is that this has got to be something that's like Instagram worthy, that it's going to be covered in artwork and calligraphy and that sort of thing. That could not be further from the truth. Like, my bullet journal is like the exact opposite of that. And like, I don't think anyone would be interested in seeing my bullet journal. Well, maybe they would, but it's not something that I would want to share on Instagram. My writing isn't great. Maybe I should have been a doctor who they perhaps have an unfair reputation for having terrible handwriting. My handwriting is not great. I'm left-handed, so I generally write with a mechanical pencil. I guess that's partly from my architecture background, but also because then I'm not smearing ink across the pages. But it doesn't have to be something that's like, you're going to put on your Instagram or anything like that. And You don't naturally have to be artistic. This is not about art. By all means, you can, flex your artistic muscles if you wish and make it look beautiful, but that is entirely optional. At its heart, bullet journaling is a simple list-making system that uses a few symbols, and anything beyond that is entirely optional. So why did I start using bullet journaling? And when did this come about? So at the time of recording, I have been bullet journaling for over 1 year. So I think it's maybe around 15 months at the time of recording. The reason this came about was I had been struggling with digital tools. I was getting overwhelmed by too many different apps, too many different software options. I wanted something that I could use like a single low-tech way to capture ideas and organize to-do lists. I tried a number of other like online-based tools, digital apps, and I just couldn't really find anything that gave me the balance that I was looking for. I wanted something that was flexible, quick and easy to use, and I wanted something that wasn't like overcomplicated or had too many distractions. I get very easily distracted, and some of the task management apps that I previously used and note-taking apps, there were so many other options in there that I'd get distracted, and I'd end up kind of going down the rabbit hole with other features and tools that were built into the software that I honestly didn't really need. And it ended up being something that just wasted more time than saved me time. And I ended up testing out a variety of these different tools and ended up with like half-baked lists spread over all different parts of the internet. Like I'd start using one app and then I'd fall out of love with it, and then I'd start using another one and start collating notes and lists there and then fall out of love with that. And it was just getting really frustrating. So I then heard about Ryder Carroll's method and thought I would give it a try. It was something that I'd heard about before. I had heard about bullet journaling a number of years before, and my thoughts and impression of it was that I mentioned earlier. It was the same. I thought it was like all about being artistic and about creating some beautiful Instagrammable notebook that sort of, captured notes and things, but just looked beautiful and probably took ages to do. And so I just discounted it and thought, oh, that's not for me. And it was actually a conversation with former podcast guest, Bob Gentle. So Bob featured as our guest speaker way back on episode 6, where he came to talk about building your personal brand. I was having a conversation with Bob, and he shared that he'd started bullet journaling and he'd found it really useful and that it was definitely worth a try. So I went away and I did a Google search. Other search engines exist, and I had a look for Ryder Carroll. I bought a copy of his book on bullet journaling. I checked out his YouTube channel, which I recommend you go and check out. There's some great videos there that just give you a very quick introduction to bullet journaling and the concepts of it. And I learned a little bit about it and thought, you know what, this sounds like this could be for me. Maybe I should give this a try. So that's exactly what I did. I read the book and I bought myself a blank notepad. I bought a notepad that had like a dots in it, like a dot pages. You don't have to have a notepad that's got pages with dots on. You can use one that's got a grid on the pages. You can just use a regular lined notebook if you wish. You can use a blank notebook if you wish. It really doesn't matter. But I got myself a notepad, and with my trusty mechanical pencil in hand, I started writing notes in this book every single day. So how has bullet journaling helped me personally? So since I started bullet journaling, one of the big benefits has been a reduction in mental clutter. So instead of carrying thoughts around all day long, or trying to note them down in a variety of different apps which is what I'd previously tried, and them getting scattered all over the place. I write them all down, all in the same place. It's a really quick and easy way for me to capture my ideas and thoughts before they slip away. And it's the ease of it that I really enjoy. I really like that I have it with me wherever I go. Take this little notepad and I just write things down. I don't worry about the order, about putting them in the right place. I just write it down. That exercise is called rapid logging. That's one of the fundamentals of bullet journaling, where if you get a thought, you do something, you complete something, you have a thought in your head or an idea, you just quickly write it down. You don't have to worry in the moment about where to put it. You just open the bullet journal on the most current page with today's date and you write it down. Have you got an interesting story about running your architecture practice? Have you done something different in your business that's been hugely successful? Or has a failure taught you an important lesson that you'd be willing to share? Then why not apply to be a guest on this podcast? Just click the link in the show notes to send us your details and get started today. And if you're joining us for the first time, don't forget to hit the follow or subscribe button so you never miss another episode. Now, let's get back to the show. I've also found bullet journaling to be an easier, clearer way for me to manage my to-do lists. So that's been really helpful for me to really focus on the things that are important and to keep track of those things. It's also been really useful for reflection, for me to be able to look back at what I've done, what I've achieved in the past week or the past month, and just to notice that progress. Because when you don't record that, when you don't record what you do, all those little micro wins and small successes and just tasks that you have struck off your never-ending to-do list, if you don't make a note of those things and then look back and reflect on it, that you just don't realize how much progress you've made. And that is part of that, the ritual, if you like, of bullet journaling, that I each week look back at the previous week, and then also on a monthly basis, I look back at the entire month. And that's part of a little bullet journaling ritual called monthly migration, which we'll mention again in the episode. It's also really helpful for planning. So not just kind of planning what's urgent for today or for tomorrow, but thinking about bigger goals and longer term outlook across the rest of the year. And if you're still not convinced about it, there is a lot of evidence and science out there that backs this up, that writing by hand improves memory retention and focus. There are studies that show that journaling can help to reduce stress and support your mental clarity. The other thing is that the physical act of writing slows you down. So in itself, it's something that encourages mindfulness, where you are more in the moment. So if you're interested in giving this a try, what do you need to get started? Well, very simply, you need a notebook, ideally dotted or with grid paper in that, and a pen or a pencil. Optional extras, if you want to be a bit more artistic, maybe you might want to bring your scale ruler, your coloured pens, sticky tabs, anything like that if you wish, but all that stuff is entirely optional. The main thing you need is just a notebook and a pen or a pencil to write. So how do you actually bullet journal? What are the key principles that come with it? So one of the key things that you'll do is called rapid logging. So this is typically short sentences with bullet points. And this is the core thing that you will do day to day with bullet journaling. So whenever you get an idea, there is something you need to add to your to-do list, you get invited to an event, like anything like that, anything you need to write down, you just quickly write it down, and that's called rapid logging. And you use a series of symbols. So the core symbols to begin with are a dot for a task. You update that dot to a cross mark. So you cross the dot out once a task is completed. Use a little circle symbol for any events. So if you had an appointment to go and visit a prospective client, or you're going to a networking event, you draw a little circle and then you'd write down the information about that, just a quick one-liner, what the time of the meeting is, who you're meeting, where it's at, that sort of thing. And any other notes that you want to take, you just draw a little dash and then write down a short sentence to explain what that is. And that's the main thing when it comes to symbols. You can customize you can add customized symbols if you wish. So I'll use a exclamation mark for ideas. Sometimes if I want to note how I'm feeling that day, I'll use an equal symbol. So it's really up to you. You might find some other symbols that you want to include as part of your bullet journaling, but the basic ones that you need for tasks, completed task, events and notes, there's just 4 simple symbols. Migration, I briefly mentioned that earlier. So this is where you move unfinished tasks forward. So this can be usually done on like a monthly basis, but you can do it at a weekly frequency as well. What you do is you go back and review the previous week or month. You'd move any unfinished tasks forward. So you'd migrate those to your current to-do list for that week, or if you're not going to complete it that week or that month, you'd put it in a different section of your bullet journal for future months, or you just strike a line through it. If it's a task that you noted down a few weeks ago that's now no longer relevant, it's no longer needed, just literally draw a line through it and get rid of it. The other thing to know about is collections. So this is where you create some themed based pages for collections of things. So this could be anything from, say, maybe a reading list. Maybe you want to have a page in your bullet journal for a reading list whenever somebody recommends a really interesting book. Maybe you have another page for favorite podcasts to listen to. Hopefully this one, it gets added to your list. Project ideas, project notes. If you've got any business development projects you're working on, maybe even some of your architectural clients, maybe you have a page for those projects too. The whole idea of it is that it's intended to be completely flexible. So what you'll find is that as you start bullet journaling, it will evolve the more that you do it, and you'll find other ways that you use it to benefit you and to make your life easier. In terms of resources to get started, I can recommend the book, The Bullet Journal Method by Ryder Carroll. Go check that out. You can visit the bulletjournal.com website, and also head over to YouTube. If you just type in bullet journal or bullet journal method in YouTube, you will find all sorts of useful information on there from, Ryder Carroll's channel, where you're getting it, his story about bullet journaling and his guidance on it, through to all sorts of other creative people that have developed their own techniques and styles. Really good to see some of the artistic versions that people have developed as well. Few tips for you for getting started. So I would recommend that you just start simple. Don't overcomplicate things. Just start with the simplest version of this that you can. Consistency matters far more than design. As I say, my bullet journal is pretty messy. I can read my handwriting, but I'm not sure who else will read it, be able to read it. I think it's a good idea to try and pair it with a daily ritual, maybe something you do already, maybe with your morning coffee or your end of day routine. So you've got more chance of getting into the habit of doing it if you do that. For me, it is the end of the day. It's the last thing that I do. So before bed, I will open the bullet journal and I'll just add any extra notes, any thoughts that have been floating around in my head that day that I haven't yet written down, how I'm feeling that day, how the day went. I might make a sort of note to that effect at the end of the day. And usually the beginning of the next day, usually over breakfast, it's with me. So I'll have the bullet journal with me and I'll have a look at what I've got coming up that day and start to plan out the most important things for that day. You can use it both as a forward planner and a backward record as well. So it's useful to, to look back, like actually having something that you can reflect upon is one of the huge benefits of this. So it isn't just a forward planner. It is something that you can work both ways and just keep it visible. Like, if you have it tucked away in a drawer, you're less likely to use it. For me, it is pretty much always in sight certainly when I'm at my desk or if I'm working away somewhere, I will always have it with me. I even have it with me later on in the evening if I'm watching some TV or relaxing somewhere. I have it with me. It's on the coffee table in front of me. So if I get an idea or a thought, it can go straight into that journal without delay before I forget. So, quick summary. Bullet journaling is a very simple and flexible tool that can be incredibly helpful to declutter your mind, to clear out all of that junk out of your brain so you can concentrate on what's important in your life. Doesn't need to be fancy, just needs to be functional, and you get to decide how you use it because it's completely flexible. And all you need to get started is a notebook and a pen or pencil. So writing things down is going to clear that mental space and it's going to help you to focus on what matters most. So if you're feeling overwhelmed or if you've been drowning in digital tools that haven't been working for you, give bullet journaling a try. And if you already use bullet journaling, I'd love to hear how it's helped you. So just reach out to me. LinkedIn is the best place. Send me a connection request if we're not already connected. And let me know. I'd love to hear how you've been using it. Till next time, bye for now. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Architecture Business Club. If you liked this episode, think other people might enjoy it, or just want to show your support for the show, then please leave a 5-star review or rating wherever you listen to podcasts. It would mean so much to me, and it makes it easier for new listeners to discover the show. And if you haven't done so already, don't forget to hit the follow or subscribe button so you never miss another episode. And if you'd like to connect with me online, you can do that on most social media platforms. Just search for @Mr. John Clayton. The best place to connect with me online is LinkedIn, and you can find a link to my profile in the show notes. Remember, running your architecture business doesn't have to be hard, and you don't need to do it alone. This is Architecture Business Club.